I'm very, very suspicious about this story. They seem to, I mean, how awful it is that some random person would home invade your house and start shooting and then shoot dead a pretty 9-year-old girl called Olivia. I mean, that's awful, isn't it? But now, please forgive me, but there is at least a possibility that this story is not true. Now, it's very difficult and you get very heavily targeted and abused if you say so, but I know from previous experience that they do fake stories in order to get a public reaction. I think there's a possibility that this story has been manufactured. It's very, very scripted story with a backstory. There's always a backstory. For example, a very, very dodgy incident that I don't believe, the Greenford stabbing of a 87-year-old man in a mobility scooter who apparently was raising money for Ukraine. They are ticking all the boxes, aren't they? And now, a few days later, we have the completely unnecessary, horrific shooting of a very attractive 9-year-old girl. So please don't say to me something like, oh, you wouldn't say that to the relatives, da-de-da-de-da. Look, first of all, if I was the relative, I wouldn't even be looking online for these kind of videos. And secondly, I think all of us have the duty, obligation and right to say, hang on a minute, wait a second, let's find some more information. Because at the moment, people are just immediately believing everything they're told, whether it's COVID or climate change or random horrific events such as killing 9-year-old girls and stabbing 87-year-old pensioners. They're trying to destabilize our society. They're doing it in multiple different ways. These days, people don't even know whether they're male or female, right? A lot of people don't. I mean, I certainly do, but a lot of people apparently don't realize that they are born male or female. I mean, this seems to me pretty obvious, but you know, I mean, what's going on? So here we have a family handout. Would you necessarily want to give your picture of your daughter to the media? I wouldn't. If that was my daughter, I would not be providing any photographs to the media at all. And of course, we have this stuff here. She was joyful and would always try to help others. Right? A ray of sunshine, a lively little soul who was very popular with all her peers. Very, very popular. Isn't this the case? I mean, has there ever been a child who was never very, very popular? Devastated. Well, I'd be devastated too. And she just participated in the school production of The Wizard of Oz. Was she an aspiring footballer as well? Who knows? And then we have these petrol station flowers that are always, look, somebody's taken a photograph of a small child adding flowers to this group of flowers here. This is very sentimental, saccharine, right? Okay, regardless of your belief in this story, wasting money on flowers and leaving them in the street isn't going to bring this girl back to life again. I think this is untrue, this story. I mean, you're not going to go, I mean, would you really chase someone into a random house and then start wildly shooting? I mean, again, it's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, right? And of course, we very quickly find out we've got a guy here. He's the intended target of the shooting that killed 9-year-old Olivia, right? A convicted drug dealer. Now, appeal for information. And then we get all these people walking around with their white polar bear suits on, disguised up with their masks and stuff. So I think there's, I think this story is so maudlin, so extreme, that I think such stories need to be taken with caution, because the government are and the police are completely untrustworthy, right? I wouldn't trust the police at all. They've never helped me and they're never going to help you, right? Freemasons. News conference due to start shortly. Olivia Pratt-Corbell. Right. Family handout. All I'm saying is this. Concede the possibility that stories such as this, maybe not this one, maybe not, maybe this is true, maybe some drug dealer did chase a man into a random house and start wildly shooting, and yeah, but it doesn't have to be true. Just remember, the government went to war with Afghanistan and Iraq based upon a pack of lies. So they lie to us about everything. If they're prepared to invade a foreign country based upon lies, then surely they also might be prepared to create fake stories for media to get the public into. Now the public are going to say we need more police. Government want more police because the government want to force you to wear face masks and are going to come to your home and forcibly inject you. Okay? So don't dismiss me as a conspiracy theorist, and don't you dare say that I'm not entitled to express my personal doubts about this story on using the very, very tried and tested, oh, it's so disrespectful to the family, how dare you, how dare you, how dare you. Because I can assure you this, if this was a true event, and if my daughter was killed, I can assure you I'd have better things to do with my time than worry about the opinions of some random person online. So at least allow people to raise doubts about. We must have that right. All of us. We're not obliged to believe what we're told. Okay? It's respectful to start asking questions. Our society is progressively becoming more and more degenerate. Right? I've seen it over and over again. We're being lied to on an industrial scale about just about everything, whether it's climate change, the moon landing, probably the shape of the earth, although that in itself will get you mocked. I'm very open-minded about that. I think a dome is a strong possibility, but I'm not saying for sure I know the answer, because I don't. But there are reasons for doubt about everything we're told. Climate change, vaccinations, monkeypox, terrorism. I know that these things for sure, the moon landing for sure, 100% certain, are not true. And I do know for a fact that the government frequently stage psyops, such as the Greenford stabbing of a 87-year-old Irishman who in his little box was raising money for Ukraine. I mean, there's no evidence that Ukraine has ever got any of the money, and even if Ukrainian charities will give the money, I guess most of it goes into people's back pockets. Money you donate to charity, sadly, goes to, if you give a fiver to if you give some money to a beggar on the street, then at least you know where the money's going. Cigarettes and alcohol. That's reasonable. But if you give the money to a charity like Save the Children, 90% of the money is going to go to the CEO's pension fund, right? So you're wasting your money, right? The money isn't going to go to help Africans with their water, because by now they must have water. We've been collecting for them for 40, 50 years now, and they still need more help. So I'm just saying, I think the story may not be true. It's very, very, it's got a very scripted feel to it, right? And also they're playing on people's emotions. 9-year-old girl, ray of sunshine, right? Loved by all. 87-year-old man raising money for Ukraine in a mobility scooter, stabbed in broad daylight. Think about these type of stories and ask yourself, is there at least a possibility that they may not be as told?